This is PROpulsion, the podcast where we dive deep into the nitty-gritty of taking your business and your practice to the next level. Whether you are an entrepreneur, a franchisee, or a financial planning pro, you are in the right place. We're talking the latest tech, best practices, and expert insights, all while keeping it real and entertaining. So grab a coffee, sit back, and let's get ready to blast off. I'm your host, Francois de Toy. Lara, warm welcome to PROpulsion.
Thank you so much, Francois. It's great to be back with you.
Yeah, fantastic. I can't wait for our discussion. It's been a long time in the making. It's amazing how when two people want to talk to each other and they just like they're just not in sync, and then suddenly things come together. So thank you so much for your time this morning and for being here this early on a Friday. Lara, just a little bit about you and sort of just a brief overview of your experience and your history and how you got started and how did you get to where you are today, just in a brief overview before we get into the details.
So funny enough, I actually started my first career after I qualified working at Volkswagen in the purchasing department for plastic car parts. So I did that for 2 years and then traveled overseas for 2 years. And when I got back, I ended up in Johannesburg. My parents had moved up here. And my first job was with Investec, originally on their unit trust side of their business. I only lasted a year at Investec and then moved to RMB Unit Trust with some of my colleagues. And we started that business. And I was there for 10 years and then worked in the RMB International business, which is now Momentum Wealth International. And then joined one of my clients who was an independent financial planner. And I spent 7 years with her, and she really was my mentor and taught me a lot of what I know about financial planning. And then I've been in the industry now, financial planning for 22 years. So quite a long time. It's gone by really, really quickly. Always on the independent side. I know when you introduced me, you mentioned independence. But 21 years has gone by in the blink of an eye, and I think I've definitely found my calling. I love being able to help clients, and I also love the fact that every day is a different day. We work with different challenges, different clients, different problems, and hopefully make a difference in their lives and are able to change their futures. So I think it's a very rewarding profession to be in.
Oh, I can't agree more than that. I think it's probably one of the most caring, most rewarding, and I'm not talking from a financial point of view, just from a human being point of view, it's one of the most rewarding, professions that one could be in. It's one of the most serving professions that anyone could be in from that point of view. And obviously, I mean, there's other things that are probably more serving than this, but I mean, what an incredible place to be in. And I'm sort of quite keen to ask you this question, right? So I love business. I love entrepreneurship. I love doing my own thing. I love building my own thing. But I want to ask you, like, what made you decide to build your own financial planning firm versus, I know that independence is obviously very important to you, but why did you not join another independent firm that was already running and just build a practice there?
It's a good question. So I did work for 2 other independent financial planning businesses. In fact, I say that the second business I worked for was originally an asset management business, and they had started a financial planning division. So I ran the financial planning side and considered us to be independent. But if you look at the definition of independence, if you have any product providers in your group, then you're actually not independent. We had some changes in our office, a new managing director, in fact, a group CEO, and the strategic direction of the business was changing, and I didn't feel comfortable with that. And actually chatted to quite a lot of businesses about joining them. And my concern always was that at the time you join these companies, they always promised you that you're going to get exactly what you ask for. And then down the line, you find yourself being pushed in a direction that you don't feel comfortable with. And after chatting to 5 or 6 businesses, I just thought I don't want to keep having to move. I want to have a home, and I want to be in that home and stay there for a very long time. And that was really the start of Integral Wealth. Knowing that we wouldn't have any pressure down the line to do things that didn't keep us 100% independent. I've always said I wanted to be a corporate person. I've been a single mum to 2 children, and my favorite day of the month was payday. So corporate was really where I saw my future. But I think in terms of certainty around the things that were important to me, I ended up going into a path of starting my own business. It has been challenging. I think everyone who's in their own businesses knows you have all sorts of, you become a jack of all trades. You have to do a little bit of everything. Budget is always an issue, and dealing with a range of different product providers also brings its own challenges, especially when it comes to servicing existing clients. So I can't say it's been the easiest path, especially running a smaller business, but being the master of your own destiny, I think, does have a lot of benefits. And I do like the fact that I can hand on heart say to my clients, I'm doing my level best for you. And we constantly be able to assess and analyze new products and new funds that are coming onto the market. And we have no restrictions around what we can give advice on, which is critical for me.
Yeah, it's amazing. And I love how everybody has their own journey, right? So it's things that are like, what is important to you? But it's also then amazing how somehow, the things that we think is important to us over time, we figure out that maybe there's some things that are more important to us than just that. So like you moving from, I'm not going to be in corporate, I'm going to do my own thing, which is completely opposite to what you thought you were going to do. And I think that's the beauty of life in general. But one of the things often that I see, it's like, and Laura, I don't know you that well, but what I've gathered from what I've seen and the discussions and things that we've had and things we've been involved in is that there's a couple of things that's very important to you. One is continuous learning. You always keep on top of it. I mean, we had some interesting discussions where you made some interesting comments around technology in your business and things, and I was like, wow, okay, this is really, really cool. So it's about staying on top of things, but more than that, what I'm picking up from you, it's like it's very important for you to be involved in the profession as a whole, not just as a player of the game, but also of somebody that helps shape the future of the profession. So I'm keen to learn from you, like why is that important for you, and how important is it for all of us to also get involved in the future of the profession and really being involved with things like committees and initiatives and things like that.
So, I think as a group of people, as a profession, we have tremendous ability to influence the profession that we're involved in. And the FPI, I mean, one of 27 recognized bodies all over the world in terms of upholding the financial standards, of our profession. If we can support the FPI and drive the FPI in the directions that we feel are important as planners, the FPI looks after our professional and ethical standards, but they don't do the work that we do on a daily basis. We are on the ground and we're seeing people every day. And through the FPI, we are able to influence direction with the regulator and with other bodies. And if you chat to Lilani, you'll know how many bodies it is that the FPI works with and has connections with throughout government, but also into other bodies like the FPI and other industry bodies in different financial areas. So if we can raise the issues that we are facing, I think we have a great opportunity to make sure that, especially regulatory-wise, that the direction is sound and logical. And what I think has been amazing about the FSCA in South Africa is that they haven't rushed to bring in RDR. They haven't rushed to bring in consumer duty, which is our COFI Act now. Everything that is being done in South Africa is done in a very considered approach to make sure that we don't have the adverse consequences that we've seen in the UK and in Australia, where, for example, independent financial advisors have just disappeared overnight because it's become impossible for them to meet the hectic regulatory requirements. So if we get involved, we have the chance to shape our future. And I think getting involved doesn't only mean giving, it actually means you receive as well, because it means that you are closer to what is happening at that coalface with these various bodies. So it's a win-win situation. I've also met some amazing people from other companies, other financial planners, people in corporates, and you get to have interactions and conversations that you don't have, especially if you're, operating in your own little microcosm. So I've always found it very rewarding, and I've met some incredible people that I'm close to, even though I'm not working with them anymore.
Yeah, I so agree with you on that. It's almost like, you can't be in the stands and then criticizing if you're not on the field playing, right? So it is quite important to get involved with things. I think often we think, and we see it all over, right? It's not only like with the FPI and things like that, but it is important to note that, when you become a member of something, that you actually participate and that you engage, and that you don't only take, you also give. Just paying a membership fee doesn't mean you've given. There's more to that, and there's so much that you can contribute. I think that's really what it's about. I'm also sort of keen to, you mentioned earlier that independence is very important to you, and all of that. So keen to ask you, Lara, what is your definition of independence? And also then, why is it so important for you in the way that you conduct your business?
So, look, independence is important to me, and I have done a lot of questioning around why it's important to me, and whether, to be honest, is it an ego thing? Is there something that says that being independent is better than being tied? And I've questioned it a lot, especially through a recent challenge that I've been through. And I haven't been able to answer the question yet. Maybe it's just habit, and it's because it's the way I've always defined what I do. I think there are various stages of independence. So we are sort of right on the one end of the spectrum, where we have contracts with, I think, 28 different companies. And when clients come to see us, we are able to take on business that is with just about anyone. So we don't have to move the business to a platform that we have a contract with. We can look after them wherever they are. And that's been one of the big things, especially with the traditional life company products, the products with lock-ins and penalties if you do Section 14 transfers or make any changes to the portfolios, or make them paid up. COVID was a good example. We had clients who had no work, and they had life policies and big RA premiums going off their bank accounts and no income. And we had to now look at their portfolios and see how we could help them. And, it was really a case of kicking someone when they were down, because it was bad enough that they didn't have any revenue, but now they were getting penalized on their pensions and penalized on their life cover when they tried to make changes. So it just reiterates for me the importance of being able to offer a whole of market. I mentioned there's a spectrum of independence. It is tough being an independent financial planner. You don't get the service from the call centers that the tied companies do. They really don't like to look after you because you're not giving them new business. So a lot of planners are, remaining independent, but choosing to work with one or two administrators to limit that. Well, it's not just the hassle of working with all the different companies. It's the fact that you need to be accredited on all their products every year. There's a lot of time and effort that goes into all of those relationships, staying up to date with their products as they change, etc. So I think along that spectrum of independence, everyone will find their own space, and independence isn't going to be for everyone. For a lot of people, it really does make sense to be tied, I think, and just to be honest about the fact that you are tied. I've also met a lot of clients who have believed that the person who's been giving them advice was independent, and then I find that everything is with one institution and in that institution's funds as well. And then they realize that although the person doesn't say that they work for a specific company, it's an independent brand, but the brand is not actually an independent financial planning business. So I think it's just about transparency, and finding what works for you as an advisor, and then being clear with that with your clients.
Yeah, it's often, it's also this discussion around what do we call ourselves, right? Which is a topic again that we're going to delve into in a panel discussion. But it is quite an interesting one, exactly what you're saying. Like, are you clear on your value proposition and what you offer clients? And if clients are clear, are you being transparent about that? There is no right or wrong, because for every single type of advisor, if you will, there is a client looking for that kind of service and that kind of proposition. But it is what's important to you, what you value, and how do you put yourself out there? And are you then transparent about that? Or are you, sort of presenting one thing, but actually doing another? because I believe, I don't know what you think, but I believe it all comes down to behavior. It's not so much, am I a CFP, am I not a CFP? Because you can be a CFP, but behave very differently from what a CFP would be expected to behave like. So that's definitely, something that I've been thinking about quite a lot over recent months. Just I don't know if you have any comments on that before I continue.
Yeah, I do. And, one of the things I always say to our staff, because we have some young people who are going through the CFP accreditation process, but I always say that we are a profession. And if you want to be a professional person, then your professionalism is something that you can't switch on a Monday morning at 5 o'clock and switch off on a Friday at 5 o'clock. Your professionalism has to extend across who you are as a person. And that integrity, if you have it, has to be consistent across everything you do. So as you say, the qualification alone doesn't make you, a CFP, a bit, say that you're doing the right thing just because you have the CFP. And there are a lot of non-CFP advisors who definitely do the right thing. But that, we know our profession is based on trust. And if we want people to trust us, then we have to walk the talk ourselves. We have to, we can't be honest and open and have integrity at work and then behave differently on the weekend. So who we are as a person is absolutely critical, that there's that consistency across everything we do.
Yeah, I love it. Right, so let's move on a little bit and talk about complexity. Because obviously, I mean, things are moving fast, they are changing fast. Whether it's technology or just information overload, or people leaving South Africa, moving overseas, new regulations coming in all over the show, not just in South Africa, everywhere else. How do you stay up to date, Lara, and how do you ensure that you're able to still advise those clients? And because sure, I don't know, it sometimes feels to me like everything happens at once. So how do you go about staying abreast of things and making sure that you can help your clients?
Yeah, good question, Francois. I always think no man is an island, and it doesn't matter how much research we're doing and how much reading we do and how many webinars and seminars we attend, we just can't keep up with everything. There is too much. In our business, we have 4 planners, including myself. So that does help in terms of us being able to all attend different events and learn different things. And then we have a weekly meeting when we share what we have found that interesting over the past week. But I do think that that's where the importance of our networks comes into play. And you mentioned clients moving offshore. I know we've all had a lot of people moving offshore, and they've got pensions in South Africa that we still look after. We're not authorized to advise them on what they're doing with their offshore pensions, etc. We can still advise them on the assets that are left behind in South Africa. But it creates a whole lot of new challenges, because clearly we don't always understand the tax consequences and the legal, products, etc., that are available in the different jurisdictions those clients are now living in. And I think the most important thing for us is to make sure we know what we don't know. The scariest part for me is the things we don't know, because that's when we can think we can give advice on something, and we actually don't realize that there's a whole lot of information we don't have at our fingertips. If our clients aren't the one leaving and going overseas, a lot of them have got children who've left, and that clearly has impact, on succession and on inheritance, especially local assets versus offshore assets, trusts, etc. So understanding and keeping up to date with all of that legislation is really important. And once again, I think being involved in the FPI committees and, constantly upskilling is very helpful in terms of being on top of all of that. I also believe, I mentioned networks very briefly, but, PROpulsion is a perfect example. We're not competitors. We are all in the same profession. And if there's one thing I've learned from winning the FPI Financial Planner of the Year, we are the most incredible bunch of people. The warmth, the support, the encouragement, and the congratulations that I've received from many, many, many financial advisors I do not know has been so overwhelming. It's probably been the biggest highlight of winning this award, the recognition and the acknowledgement. And we all have the ability to work together and to help each other. And there is more than enough business around for everyone. We are not competitors. We are a community of people that are here to help each other. And I think having those networks and understanding each other's different strengths and building on that is a great way for us to all be better planners and give better advice.
Yeah, it's like there's much that I can also add on to that, but I'm not going to. This is this is your show, not mine today. It's amazing, Lara. I'm also keen, like when you decide what you are going to attend or what you're going to, what kind of CPD you're doing, etc. Like, what is that process for you? Do you have a process, or is it a case of, oh, I still need 15 points? Where can I get it the easiest? Like, what's your approach to CPD specifically, or just not even CPD, just deciding what kind of events or webinars or things that you attend to help you with your continuous learning?
So I like to go to everything. So it's terrible, but every time there's an invitation, I look through it carefully, because I know that even if it's something I know and I understand, every time I attend a webinar or seminar, I do pick up one or two things, and sometimes it's even from the people you chat to when you're there, that are new and different and make me think in a different way. So I can't really say I'm truly selective. I think my selectivity just comes around how much time there is in the diary. Post-COVID, we have the benefit of all these webinars, and that's made a huge difference. When you had to drive and park and do the teas and everything else, it was a big time commitment. But now there is so much that we can do online, and I find that the content delivery that we are getting is so incredible. A lot of short, sharp sound bursts of information. We don't have speakers talking for 2 hours anymore. Most speakers are on the screen for 10, 15, 20 minutes, and you get the abridged summary version. So there's so much good stuff out there. Clearly, because of contracts with 28 different companies, we get invited to a lot of events. So yeah, we will usually try in the business to make sure that someone attends as many of them as possible. But I do a lot of CPD. I've probably logged my hours in the first quarter of every year. I find it quick and easy to do, and when you can do it from your desk, if it's a half a day event and there's something that you're not really interested in, you can zone out a little bit on that talk and then zone back in for the ones that are more interesting. So I do a lot of webinars.
Yeah, zooming, if you will. Fantastic, Lara. Thank you very much. Another thing I just want to step sort of back to and maybe onto, you also mentioned that you've got quite a few youngsters in your business as well. And also I have this thing that I've been thinking about now for a long time, almost it's going on getting closer to a year, since November last year, about how many fantastic young people we're getting that already completed their qualification. They're looking to enter the profession. They want to do that. They come in, and then lo and behold, a year, 2, 3 years later, they're gone. And what is your approach to mentorship, and maybe just your thoughts in general around how do we help youngsters when they come into the profession to be able to stay in the profession? I don't want to get into why they don't stay. We will get to that. But for me, it's more important. Like, what do you think we could do maybe to be better mentors to them and to create an environment where they can actually thrive instead of stress themselves out of the profession?
So look, I've employed interns. In fact, over the last 20 years, I've always had an internship program going. At the moment, we've got 3 staff members who originally joined us as interns from the ASISA internship program. The first 2 ladies joined us in COVID, and they are currently writing their final University of the Free State exams November this year, and hopefully doing their boards early next year. And then the third intern that we appointed has actually done her postgrad diploma in financial planning. She just needs to write the board, but she's only been with us for a year and a half now. So they've joined us in their permanent roles as administrators, and the process has been to really, I think, first teach them the basics around the administration side, but more and more now to get them involved on the financial planning side. We, as a company, all have one advisor and one administrator working on each client, and we've split the clients across all 4 administrators. So each of the 4 advisors has clients with all 4 administrators. So it means that if someone is away, it doesn't matter, someone else can step in and help. But we are encouraging the admin team to know the clients, and now to actually sit in on the client meetings. And I'm getting them to do more and more of the writing of reports, and drafting of responses to emails, etc. And I check all of those things, but I am amazed to see how responsive and receptive they are to the learning. Also, when they are doing a reply to an email, if there's something that I can see they don't understand, we have Monday's always my office day. I have a whole session where we do training, and we will talk about, for example, the various different types of trusts and why people will use a trust, and the difference between a testamentary trust, a special trust, etc. And then we'll just have like a little 20-30 minute session. So I think every single week they go home with new learnings and things that they haven't picked up through the postgrad diploma in financial planning. And, I said right at the beginning, one of the things I love about what we do is that every day is different. A lot of what we do is it's using our common sense and applying what we've learned through, firstly, the formal learning in our qualifications, but also the learning that we've had from our clients through the years. So older financial planners will generally have a lot more experience than younger financial planners, and I try and share as much of that as possible. The problem for us, of course, is that at the moment, I think they're all happy and I think they're going to stay with us, but you never really know. And we know that the big corporates come in and make them amazing offers, especially after they've got their CFPs. So that is a journey we will still go through in the next year or two. But my intention is to try and make sure that the work environment is so stimulating and so growth-filled that they will want to stay. We've also now made 2 of them reps on our license, and they are starting to advise their own clients, their own network of friends and family and people that they are meeting. And obviously I'm involved through that process because they're working under supervision, but I'm encouraging them to actually practice as financial planners while they are going through this process. And hopefully that will also be an incentive to stay. I'm also not very attached to my shareholding. I'm very happy to have more shareholders in our business and to make sure that they can see a future for themselves in our business. Because from a succession planning point of view, I actually see them looking after my clients one day. My clients love the people they work with in our business, and that's such a credit to them and what they bring to the table. I see Tracy has just asked me how long it took to set up our practice. The setting up was always quite quick. We've been going for 8 years, but I think because I've been doing this for 22 years, it's quicker and easier each time you put all the compliance, etc., into a new business. So it didn't take us long to be up and running, maybe 6 months. But every year is different in your own business, and you go down all sorts of rabbit holes and rabbit warrens and paths. It's been interesting. Thanks, Francois.
That's the beauty of business, and that's the exciting part. I've
Yeah.
often been asked, like, when are you getting a real job? And then I'm like, like all this stress and just like, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we'll do this. Like, I'm not changing that or exchanging that for anything else. So yeah, it's been an incredible ride. Lara, as we're coming closer to the end, I just maybe want to ask you also, I wanted to delve a little bit more into your business. You did touch on quite a few things now that you do in the business. I'm quite keen, just maybe what do you feel is the core part of your business? Like, without that, doesn't matter what other bells and whistles and fantastic offers you have and your amazing value proposition. What do you feel is the core bit in your business that makes everything else work, and that you wouldn't be able to do without?
Sure. We always say that our business sort of number one thing is to treat customers fairly, put clients first. And I always think that if you are putting your clients first, then you need to make sure that the staff that are looking after those clients also feel like they're important. So I think culture would be my answer to the question. Because, going back to what I said about professionalism, if your culture is a culture of care, then the starting place for care has to be with your staff. And if you can have that culture of care in your business, where you recognize that the people that work with you are also mothers, wives, husbands, sportsmen, They have a range of different aspects to their personality. Our business needs to embrace that. So while clients always have to come first, our staff need to know that if they have to take a child to a doctor, or Michael, my colleague, is doing the World Ironman Championships in Hawaii later this year for the second time. He's been invited. That obviously involves a significant commitment. But people need to know that their personal lives are a big part of who they are, and that is recognized in our business. So if our culture can be a culture of care, then I think it's very easy to pass that culture of care onto our clients in the way we extend what we do through to all aspects of running the business.
Yeah. I love how you didn't say technology. You didn't say many other things that we think of first when we think about business, which I absolutely loved. Lara, thank you so much for spending your time with me. I have linked Lara's LinkedIn link. Well, the link to her LinkedIn profile is down below in the description. Lara, I'm pretty sure it's okay if people want to connect with you and also follow you on LinkedIn. Is there anywhere else, if you think like the audience is financial advisors and planners, anything else you would like to share with them before we end off?
So just firstly, to apologize for my terrible LinkedIn profile. I always say that I'm going to spend more time and post more things, and I just never seem to get to it. I spend my life talking to people, and I think when I switch off at the end of the day with an evening, that's it. So my LinkedIn will be disappointing, but I am my intentions around being better on LinkedIn are good, and I will get there. Francois, just to say thank you so much to you for inviting me, and thanks to everyone who's here listening to me. It really is amazing to be here. I really admire what you are doing and the community that you're building, Francois, and I think it's such a critical part of the connections that we all need in our lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, Lara. Have a fantastic weekend.
You too. Thanks.
All righty, brilliant stuff. That was an amazing discussion, wasn't it? There was a couple of good comments here that I just wanted to highlight. I like this one by Andre. Andre said, professionalism and ethics extends past working hours. Yes. I loved how Lara also positioned that. So fantastic. Frank shared that the true test of a man's character is what he does when no one is watching. John Wooden, mentor and friend to John C. Maxwell, said that. And then Frank also said, I love the approach of developing people from administration through to becoming professionals, professional financial planners. And this established such a good foundation. Thank you very much, Lara. Fantastic. Righty. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's a wrap for today's episode. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next week with another fantastic episode. Really looking forward to another good one. And until then, stay safe, be blessed and prosper. Enjoy your weekend and continue to raise the bar. Love you. Bye-bye. All right, folks, that's a wrap for this episode of Propulsion. I hope you got as much out of this as I did. Remember to tune in every Friday at 8 a.m. South African time for our live show called Propulsion Live. You can find it at www.propulsion.co.za/live. And trust me, you don't want to miss it. If you enjoyed this episode of the podcast, hit that subscribe button or the follow button and share it with your friends, colleagues, and anyone else you think would get something out of it. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next one.